Now we're talking. Hello, everyone. I've just been talking to myself for the last few minutes. Oops. Let me put this to one side. You may be weirded out by the fact that I'm using Windows, which I admit I don't really do very often. I think this is the first time I've used Windows in a few months, if not years. But the reason I'm doing this is, as I was telling the non-existent people I was talking to a few minutes ago, I am installing Linux onto this brand new ThinkPad that I got kind of cheap and is the same as my old laptop that I use for work. And I'm trying to separate my work from my rest of my life, even though I'm not doing it very well, because I love my work a lot. I work at the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and they're lovely people there, and really it's all about kind of computers and the internet, so it will bleed into this, but I'm trying to separate things a little bit. So oh look, we've got one of those infinite wells. All right, I'm gonna have to shut down this little picture of me so I can show you the full screen. I'm just going to work out what my field of vision is. I can go out like this. Oh, it's pretty narrow. Okay. All right. I can just do kind of that. All right. Let's go. I'm going to install Linux live while the crowds go wild. Let's put this away. All right, so you're probably installing from a Windows machine, because Windows is what comes along when you start, and that's what we in the hipster free culture community call the Windows tax, because obviously every time you buy a computer, a little bit of money goes to Microsoft for the license. And they do other kind of crazy things as well. Like, I think you either get a discount or you get to use the logo if you implement some hardware stuff. So that's one of the ways that kind of DRM can creep into people's setups, because companies like to encourage people to set that up, because that was the thing that will turn laptops into TVs or film playing things, which I guess kind of happened. All right. So what I'm going to do is, I've done a few of these things, as I was saying before. I actually did install Linux on this, but because Linux is the operating system that's free if your time has no value, I'm going to install it again because I didn't feel that I did it quite right. And the other thing that means is that at some point I will have to switch from streaming from this nice Windows setup to streaming from my mobile phone, and that probably means I'm going to end up just on Twitch. So if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, there will be a horrible gap, and you should switch to twitch.tv/codetherapy to see the rest. Or I will try and work out some way of splicing that back into the video, but we'll see. Okay. So the first thing I did was, yes, I repartitioned this computer in Windows. So I use this program here, and, well, that's a fiction, actually. What happened was, I bought a honking huge hard drive for this laptop, which is 2 terabytes, which is terrifying to me. And then I copied over the Windows drive that came with the machine, which was, I think, 200 gigabytes, 256 gigabytes. So I copied that over, and so Windows thought, oh, this is great, I've got 256 gigabytes all to myself. And I went, aha, no, there's all this other space that I'm going to install Linux under. And Windows said, no, there's nothing there. And I said, yes, there is. Let me repartition this. And Windows said, no, look, there's nothing there. So I downloaded this Ease US. I also used their copying program, which was very good for cloning the drive. But I got this, and the way I actually got it to notice that there was actually another like 1.75 terabytes on the drive was shrinking this partition here. I just shrunk it a little bit, and like because I guess I shrank it a bit, it suddenly went, hey look, there's all this stuff here. And then you can see I like created some new partitions here, which are kind of totally trash now. Okay. Just to give you an idea of what it's like if there's nothing there. So that's when I tried to install Linux last, this was what was all in these partitions. And so my dream, I think, this time around, you'll see a couple of my thoughts on this, but my thinking, just going to check the chat, because sometimes there are people in the chat. No, there's no one in the chat. There's probably no one around. My thinking here is that because this is my I can do anything machine, I'm going to fool around and like mess around with slightly wacky Linux distributions, like the crazy cutting edge. And in fact, there's a Reddit devoted to this called something like distro hopping. Okay, there we go. Distro hopping. It's a thing, apparently, and there are people who don't have anything better to do with their life, like me, hopping from one one distribution to another. So there we go. So if you would like to join me in this sick habit, my suggestion is to do what I'm doing, which is I'm going to set up a partition for my sort of base system, which I think is going to be Debian, because I'm an old school Debian person. And then I'm going to set aside a whole 100 gigabytes for whatever I'm experimenting with. And that will use I'm kind of thinking the home directory of the other distribution. I haven't quite, I think I'll make that up as I go along. But I'm certainly going to have a little space for experiments. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's see. Anybody around? If you're around, say hi. I'm not really listening to the Discord that much. But I will look out for chat. Okay, let's see. Reserve permissions. Okay, we've got 1.6. Oh, 1.62 terabytes. That's so terrifying. That's so much data. We're going to execute that. And all of that stuff will go away. Hopefully that wasn't part of Windows. There we go. Oh, there is like a Linux boot thing in the EFI. Oh, let's just hope that doesn't do anything. Okay. So the next thing I did was download this app, which was fantastic. This app is called Rufus. Rufus.ie is my guess. And Rufus creates bootable USB drives. It just means you can download one of these images, and then you can put it onto a USB. This is my Samsung USB stick, and it will sort everything out and make it bootable, touch wood, so you can boot out of this and use this to install onto your computer, because it would be a bit freaky to install it in Windows as you're changing everything else. Not too freaky, but I think it's doable, but I kind of prefer to do it. And that's the reason why we're probably going to stop very shortly and switch to Twitch. Switch to my mobile phone to show you what's happening next. Let's see. So I went for the official live install images for the stable release. This page here where you go to CD/live on Debian. No one has a CD. I don't know why. I mean, but that's the way it was. And then I'm going to download one of these. I've already played around with a few of them, but I might download another one just to play around with yet another thing. I would normally use the BitTorrent one, but my experience with BitTorrent clients on Windows is it's really hard to find one that doesn't immediately install adware, which is sad but true. So if you have any recommendations, let me know, and I will tell people that that is the way to go. But I tried downloading the official BitTorrent client, and it was full of adware, which was really annoying because I do vaguely know Bram Cohen, who invented it, and he was like kind of apologetic. I was like, it's kind of the business model now. Okay, so I'm just going to do a normal download of this. Now I have I'm using the laptop I'm installing onto is a ThinkPad 480S, yeah, or 460S, which is why it was cheap, and that uses a Intel Wi-Fi device. So that means that it's not going to work on free software, because free software means you need the source code for this code that you're given, and no one has the source code for the Intel devices, because what you actually do is you get this like blob of unintelligible stuff from Intel, and then every time you boot, you upload that onto the card itself, or whatever the little chip is that does the Wi-Fi. And under the somewhat strict rules of Debian, that's a no-go. So what people tend to do is either they get one of those little Wi-Fi USB things that you can plug in, and there's a bunch of those that are known to work with free software, or they do as I'm going to do, which is cheat. Here we go, images including firmware, and that's what I want. Now the question here is that should I download the current live one, or should I download the exciting recent ones? No, I'm not going to be doing anything like weird and strange. I'm going to just download one of these. I'm AMD 64. Oh, actually, I'm going to download the live CD as well, because that's more fun. Here we go. Doot. ISO. BitTorrent. There we go. All right, and now it gives you a bunch of different desktop environments. So this is a live CD, whatever, live USB image. And what that means is it will boot into a sort of restricted version of Debian that's actually running on the USB stick. And then you can play around with it, see if you like it, and if you do like it, you can use that to install the full Debian onto your local hard drive. So I always will just check to see like I'm intelligible and this is actually broadcasting. Yes. So we will, well, I have been playing around with some of these because I haven't like ever used half of these things. And I think I'm going to try cinnamon, because I've definitely not used cinnamon. Although, did somebody say cinnamon kind of isn't happening anymore? Let's have a look. Cinnamon, oops, capital letters. Cinnamon, Mate, XFSC, KD. Let's see. This looks... Oops! Oh, my nice new computer. There we go. Mop that up. Seems alright. A little bit of drink stickiness between friends. Okay. Well, this isn't very explanational. Number 3. Okay. Maybe I'll play around with Mate, actually. Dude, stop downloading it. 2.3 gigs. How's that going to do? How long is that going to take? Oh, 5 minutes. Well, that's all right. Just checking how everything is going on. Yeah, this is a pretty basic studio, OBS studio, because... Oh, there's 3 of you. Hello! Because I just set it up. I just set it up on this completely clean Windows install. What was I going to do? I actually tried copying over the info from the Linux version of OBS I have. But hello, Facebook person. But it didn't work. So you're stuck with my extremely plain and no twiddly music download playing version of this. 45 minutes? Wait, wasn't it 5 minutes like a while ago? I hate it. Is it slowing down my KBS? No, seems okay. Oh, I am dropping frames, actually. Huh. Well, there's not much I can do about that. Except, I've actually... Let's pause this. I have actually got something on this drive. So maybe it won't cheat to use the pre-existing thing I have with me. If I didn't put down the drive somewhere, where did I put it? Here it is. Alright, so maybe what I'll do is I'll just boot from the existing thing that I have here. Yeah, that seems a pretty good idea. Alright, so what this means is that I am going to just be streaming to Twitch for the next part of this. So if you were on Facebook just then, you need to switch to Twitch. So let me do that. I'm gonna reboot. It's gonna be very exciting, and I will see you through my camera. 1 second.